The 395 was going to be launched at a Con Expo. Mm-hmm. No one had seen it yet. It was under wraps because they pulled off the covers to unload it. And when they pulled off the covers to unload it, someone snapped a couple of photos, put it on this group that you were part of. You sent it to me, and then I put it all over the internet and tagged everyone and said, look, here's the new 395. The cat dealership sent me a cease and desist. Please take it off of the internet. And I rung up my cat dealer here and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
You know, I was a loving father, but I was an absent father, away working most of the time. Put them through all the best of the private schools and education and wanting them to go out and become doctors and lawyers and all those types of things and barristers, and so now all of them in the mining industry. Whoever's
Alrighty, welcome back to another episode. We've lost what count it is now, 35, 38, 30 something. But today I've got a actual long-time friend here that I've known over the internet and met a couple of times through the years. Martyn Matenga, Raywell Contracting Project Manager. Say good day, Marty.
Hey, Jimmy. Thanks for having me on board.
Well, thanks for flying over from Perth.
Yeah, there was a bit of a trip last night.
And then a bit of a trip back today.
Yep, fly out at, well, what's time now?
I think you fly out at
1. We're out at 1:30, so yeah, fly through the night. But yeah, thanks for having us on board.
No problem whatsoever. So tell people what you do, and then I'm going to tell them what you really do in the background.
So yeah, I'm a mining project manager for a company called Raywell Contracting. We're more of a boutique type of miner. I know we've been using this word a few times in the last few episodes. Workforce of a couple of hundred. A few large mining contracts in Western Australia. Large plant hire fleet, wet and dry. We specialise in more your swamp machines, LGP dozers.
I've seen actually a fair bit of that. Like you had probably 5, 6, 7 of them on one job. It looked like getting properly bogged a couple of times.
Yeah, we'd have a fleet of 25 swamp dozers, D6s, 7s, big range of them. 8s, 9s, 10s, got a couple of 11s in the fleet. A few 100-ton diggers, 50s, 40s.
I wanted to lean back a little bit into you and your history because I actually met you over here. Big job in Moonee Ponds, probably a decade ago or something now.
Pretty much
might
9
have been,
years ago, 10 years ago, yeah.
And they brought you over or you got the job because you can throw dirt pretty good at trucks.
Yeah.
You asked them for a 470 Hitachi.
Yeah, and they give it to
with
me.
a LME spec, so the short stick spec with a short stick with a big fuck off bucket on it. Mm-hmm. And then you loaded out 250,000 cube or something along those lines.
I think it was 330 all up with the demo and big job.
There you go. Sorry, it was only it wasn't 250. It was 330 in a 50-ton in Moonee Ponds for anyone who's been there. Or anyone who knows Melbourne, or if you're from somewhere else, from pretty much suburbia, loaded out 330,000 cube, 50 trucks a day or something like that.
Yeah, a couple of hundred a day, 250 a day.
Yeah, that's it. That's the load count that you ended up getting, 250 a day?
Yeah, I averaged across the 12 months I was there or something like that. So, yeah, pretty big project.
Now, why did they bring you in? Because I know you're a humble man, but we got to pull it out of you a little bit.
Yeah, I may be a quarry manager, project manager. I like to think I'm well educated, but I'm not really. I'm a digger driver through and through, 3rd generation. Coming to the Melbourne industry straight off I was on a 1,400-ton rope shovel. Got made redundant. I've actually been made redundant twice in 1 year. So I thought my wife wanted to come back to uni, so we come to Melbourne. She's from Tassie. Looking for jobs around town, and I actually ended up on one of your competitors' jobs, another big plant hire company, and I've arrived, and there's a 22-ton excavator there, and the site foreman, who's pretty well known, Colin, I think his name was, he's asked me what I've done, and I said, I've just come off a 1,400-ton rope shovel, and he was quite shocked I was there to drive a 22-ton digger, and jumped on for a bit of dirt around, dug this hole out a couple of days. Then float around town, digging the odd basement, smaller stuff, Zontas and Kingstons and a few other ones.
Drove a Cabelco for a little bit. I saw you in a 350, I think.
Yeah, then tried to have a crack at the owner-operator game. Forked out a bit of money for a machine and didn't quite go as expected. Quite a ruthless market out there, getting your invoices paid, and especially if you branch out from the plant hires and you're on 30 days, 60 days. Got pushed out 90 days.
Bit of an argument.
Yeah. So anyway, I was, we got onto this, I was working for a good group of guys, only a small contractor, 5 or 6 diggers. Got sent to this job and they had diggers everywhere. They had a 50-tonner there making a mess and a couple other 30s and kind of just jumped on this 22 and pumping out more loads than this 50. And like, oh, have a look at this guy.
Can swing a tractor.
Yeah.
Can get that done.
So then they bring me in a 350 with this Cabelco. And I was on that but had a bit of a disagreement with the owner of it because the job I was on before was another basement job and I was using a tank of fuel in it every 2 or 3 days. Got onto this job and I was burning 350 litres a day in this, a tank a day. So he's kind of thought I might have been dipping out of the fuel tanks.
It's so funny when you're really smacking them hard how much fuel you can use, ain't it?
Yeah.
Like the guys will be like, oh, my 350, it burns 20 litres. I used to have a 350, like a 35-tonne size, that could burn 500 or 600 litres in a 12-hour shift. But we're moving some cubes, like where the cubes are in the back of the truck, that's for sure.
The client's happy, but we're still just getting our hourly rate. So, had a bit of a disagreement with them. I think we had a bit of a chat about bringing a Starbuck 30 in. Being one of those large construction jobs, they wanted a different supplier. So, they threw me on this 50 and we had a ball. Big dig, just pumping dirt, and my background in mining is it's all about time management.
So tell us a little bit about your background in mining. What have you driven? You driven many machines, have you, Marty?
I've driven a couple. Yeah.
Just a couple?
Yeah. I've pretty much driven every size machine from 1.5 tonne to 1,400 tonne. So every model Liebherr. I'm missing a few Komatsus. The big O&Ks, I spent a long time on 1,000-tonne shovels. There's only 20 of them in the world. I've been on 6 of them. I was on the first 9800s into Western Australia. There's only 2 now.
They came and specifically got you to drive one of those machines. I remember us talking a while ago that you were waiting for one to come get commissioned so that you could go steer it. It might have been a 94, 98.
Yeah, there's been multiple machines where the companies have brought me in to, what's the word for it, commission.
Why? Why do they? Well, they're not picking your name out of a fucking hat, like they're not going, oh, geez, like we should get, who should we pick? And they go, there's a guy, Marty, he can drive. Yeah. No, why they get you?
No, pretty well known in the industry and it's just moving dirt, moving it efficiently and tonnes per hour, fuel burn per hour type of stuff. So, commissioned the first 6015s, Cats, in Australia. They were the first few in the world.
That's right. I'd actually forgotten about them. They were at some gold mine, wasn't it? Me and you spoke a lot back then. At that time, they got a couple of 6015s in. Yeah,
we were the first 2 in the country, So commissioned those. I was working for them, but I actually, to go back one step further, I come off a 6090, which was the first one in Australia too, which is Caterpillar's biggest machine. 1,000 tonne. There's 6 of them in the world.
A face shovel?
Shovel, yeah.
Yeah,
shovel.
okay.
That's my preferred tool of choice.
A face shovel?
Face shovel, yeah.
Just in case you were wondering, I like being able to afford anything and drive that. You have a preferred option, and that preferred option is a face shovel.
Yeah,
right, got it.
So I come off this, to go back one more, I was hired to drive a 6090, 1,000-tonne shovel. Great money, phenomenal money. You're talking high six figures. Left that job to jump on the 60-15, and my manager at the time thought I was mad because I was losing 100k a year to go drive the 60-15, but I wanted to drive that machine. So yeah, the 60-15, first 60-20 into Australia.
Shovel or excavator?
Excavator.
Excavator for the 60-20, yeah.
Yeah, and that was for a large tier 1 mining company. They're massive now. But 996s, got 20,000 hours on those. 9800s, thousands of hours on those. There's only a couple in the industry over there. Big shovels, big diggers, rope shovels.
Tell us about some of the tons that you've moved so that people can get a little bit of your resume up then.
Yeah, or, for those big ones.
Because I believe that you had some records for some time.
Yeah, multiple records around the place, documented records. A lot of people will tell you that they've done this and I've broke this record there. But yeah, documented data, measurable data. So
just to give people the example, there's a little bit of a hierarchy in especially Liebherr, I believe. Liebherr run a worldwide sort of thing, don't they, for tons per hour moved?
Yeah.
In some of their big tractors. Now he says but I'm slowly getting it out of him. So he says but worldwide they have some records that have been set and they keep it per model.
Yeah.
And so any that they sell around the entire world that are working in any mine.
That it's tracked.
And you're the top leaderboard.
On the 996 back in 2000, we broke the 996 world record.
And what was that? That
was 66,000 BCM over 24 hours, so 33,000 BCM in 12 hours. That was myself. Which tonnage-wise, that's like 80,000 tonne in a shift, so 8,000 tonne an hour.
Yeah, so 80,000 tonne in a shift.
And those records stood for 10, 12 years until the 9800 come out, and that's gone up another 15,000 BCM a shift. So there has been a record set not so long ago in New South Wales by a company I know quite well up there. The big 9800 in the sand up there. It's quite a well-known machine. I think Aaron Witt's just been
fucking big bucket on it.
Yeah.
Like the bucket on that. Yeah, so it's almost unfair, yeah? Like they're not playing the same game.
No,
because
they're not
they're all coming with standard buckets and then you have one 9800 in the sand that the bucket capacity is like 30% more or something?
Yeah. It's 55 cube where your normal one's 47, but there's a few of them floating around out there with some custom buckets on it. But that machine up there has broken the record. Still unofficial. I pretty much know all the digger operators there. Come across them over in my time and trained a few. My good friend of mine is the shovel trainer there. So
let's talk about that because I think you've got your resume done a little bit now. Everyone in that real top tier game, like in the 9800, 6090s, or 4000 PC, whatever, all of them.
4000's like a 20 tonner. So.
You all move around a bit, and there's not that many of you. And it seems that when a mine is having a big push, it's almost like they bring in some of the top
they'll
top
recruit
guns.
us in. Once you get well known, and Western Australia is a bit different from the eastern states. There's a bit of a list of probably 20, 30 great operators out there that are well known, and you'll get an email, get a phone call, got some new machines coming, falling behind. We need to increase production. Are you available? So there's a few of us that I used to move around a bit, and we go in there help. But it might not just be the operation of the machine. It could be failures in the systems and the circuits. Yeah,
it doesn't end up just being about the machines anymore because you can't pump those numbers without the trucks.
Yeah, you need the trucks. You need the mine control or dispatchers that are controlling all the trucks and the supervisors, the guys on the ground, dozers, the diggers, graders.
Yeah,
smooth roads, more
and
roads.
Those 20 operators, can they see what the part that's missing?
Yeah.
A little bit more.
On another subject, of to start a new business on the side called MESA, Mining Shovels and Excavators of Australia, and I put together a team of 30 of the best operators in the industry. Got 10 good trainers coming on board, and that's what it's all about, efficiencies in the mining industry. So, you look at the whole picture. The excavator operators go in, we can move the dirt. Dirt's blasted well, but your truck delays. Could be your hot seating, could be your coming off your go lines, start of shifts, end of shifts.
Could be tipping off.
Fuse on the tip head. Could be training deficiencies within the truck drivers, not self-spotting. So many things. So, it's quite it's a bit of a niche in the mining industry to be up there, because you'll go out there and you'll see some guy that shouldn't be on a 2-tonner, and he's on a 300-tonner. And like a large machine, like a 9800 burns 500-600 litres an hour, full noise. And so that one movement, or that 10 minutes of fluffing around is...
Not to mention they cost 30 million something like that.
Yeah.
Like, plus it's 30 million to purchase it. It's however much an hour in fuel, and it's however much an hour for the fitters and everything else who are standing around waiting for something to happen to it, so that you have maximum uptime. And then you have a guy that I've seen some terrible videos out there of guys driving some of these big tractors. Like I've seen some. But I also understand, because they've placed... We're going to start moving into a different area, because they've placed so many restrictions on getting in somewhere. I know that we've spoken, and you had to do a 2-week refresher or a 3-week refresher on some sort of induction. And so there's guys out there who can operate these diggers like no one else, that either can't get the induction or won't get the induction or anything else. And then you have some absolute banana who has gone, sat through everything, and then gets put in this. And, let's say you're pumping 60,000 tonne a shift average, and he comes out and does 20,000 tonne.
Yep.
But he's got the ticket, and they leave him doing 20,000 tonne.
You'll see it within the industry. A lot of large jobs, your big iron jobs, they're not chasing the big targets. So an average operator they're happy with. As long as the blend's going on the train, they could have 15 machines on one site feeding these trucks, and one machine's doing 80,000, one machine's doing 20. He's just topping up around the place. So you'll see some average operators, but they're fit for purpose for what the company wants.
Isn't that interesting? Because like my brain gets twisted, and I'm sure a lot of people listen and go, what? Average workers? Like that know that they're average. You've got the data that they're average, and everything else. But you've got a I don't know, $10 million piece of equipment topping up, because we're looking at, I've just joined the dots in my brain. We're looking at how many carriages are full on that train, and we only have to fill up so many, and as long as they're full, it doesn't really matter.
You'll see a machine burning 12 hours. He'll be there for 12 hours in a shift, probably only dig for 3 or 4. So he just sat there for 8 hours, just topping up the smokers, lunchtimes, stuff like that. But getting back to the average operators, they're a necessity in the industry. Not a necessity, they're needed. Like I have a few guys that we class as average that work for us, but they show up for work, they're never late, they look after the machine, service, their paperwork's great.
So are they really average then? Because I've had some unicorns work for me. Now I'm talking guys who can freehand whatever, who can bomb trucks like no one else. They're quite often the
grubby one,
the difficult, the real difficult,
high maintenance. Not good with their paperwork,
cause
not good with
drama,
their communication, the presentation.
Drama. And I've had one, and I think you'll know who I'm talking about, and he is like top 3 operators I've had. He can jump in anything, turn his brain to it. As long as he's focused on that, he'll make that machine swing, or push, or grade. There was a time we went out and the middle of the night the GPS went down, satellites fucked, or I don't know what happened, and they're like, we got to grade out the subgrade of this rail line. It's like 900 metres long. We don't have any pegs. The surveyor hasn't done it. And he goes, I'll just rough it in. The surveyor will come back in the morning. We'll check it and then we'll see how close it is. Overnight, he roughed it in with the grader, right in this tiny little rail corridor. And then the guy came in the morning and checked it. And she's all within this much.
Yeah, all freestyle.
900 metres, like with the crown on it and everything. Chaos in my company, but chaos.
Yeah.
Was like you'd throw a nuclear bomb onto a job site because all of a sudden you had happy people that are now unhappy. You know, the client's unhappy, but then also they're conflicted because they're looking at it and go, fuck, this job is humming now.
Yeah.
But everyone's pissed off from the moment they get to work to the end. And I think that sometimes, you know, the unicorns are just as bad as the other
average worker.
Yeah.
But I think you need those guys. The unicorns that do a great job, and if you can manage them well, and you allocate them their tasks and you manage them well, and they know that they're that unicorn. So.
They do know that. They know their abilities, and a lot of the times they know their flaws as well, which is that they try and get the same level of production out of everyone, but most of the time, and I got to be honest, most of the people who are listening, if they run earth moving companies, would know people like this.
Yeah. There's a couple in every business.
They are all prima donnas. They all have usual, and they want the maximum production out of the job because that's how they feel like they've had a successful day.
They're adding value to the business.
And if they know some guy, I'll choose a name, Brad's on site, and Brad's slow as shit, and was on his phone, and then
Brad should be on the 3 passes with the roller, but he's doing 5 passes.
Correct.
Stuff like that.
Correct.
So he's going to get up them.
Why did it take you 6 minutes to load that truck? I'm loading trucks in 3.
Yeah. What's the matter? What's the problem?
Yeah. Do you have a problem?
Yeah.
Because they don't ask, hey, mate, what's the problem? They say, do you have a problem? What is wrong with you?
Yeah. Oh, actually, the unicorns, they do have a place in the industry, but as you said, you got to control them.
Yeah, it's real hard to control. And I'll never forget, I got a phone call the next morning that said, whatever job we're going on, we want that bloke on a grader. I'm like, I don't even own a grader. But like, he jumped on your grader because your guy was sick and he can drive one, had the ticket, and then you realised that your grader operator's shit.
But you went and bought a grader, didn't you?
I did go and buy a grader, and then he left because that's what ends up happening, which is okay because, looking back, at the time all of these things happen and you're just that pissed.
Yeah.
But then as you grow, like myself, I look back and I go, that was perfect. It was probably the end of that. It allowed me to rebuild my teams a little bit less focus based on one guy on one job and more spread.
The collective, yeah.
It's the collective which added a little bit, a depth because now we have, instead of one guy who's a 10 out of 10 and 3 guys who are 5 out of 10, we now got 3 guys who are 8 out of 10.
Yeah. Experience spread across the board. So you get that in the in the mining industry. The experience levels across the board. You have those 1% operators, and that's what we call them, the 99.99% production operators. They could be great, but as I said, their attendance, their punctuality, their communication, their written skills, a lot of it's all computers now. But to build that package, and if you can mould that operator to that not just dig, doze and push, but can be the rest of the package, it's they're working.
Is that what you're looking to do with your new thing?
Yeah, that's pretty much my business model. Is the elite operators and the best trainers in the industry with measurable skills, proven data, and the all-round package, and it's.
So you're trying to put forward a guarantee to the mines to say, hey, listen, you get us involved, and we will put out more product.
Yeah,
it's just
increase your safety, decrease your incident rates, increase your production, decrease your maintenance costs. Fuel costs, premature component failures, all stuff like that. You know, we're talking $20 million machines. You put a monkey in the seat, they're going to demolish it. So
yeah, they definitely can. Even the fact, like something interesting with the big ones I've always found is that they can destroy those buckets like so quick with a bad operator.
Oh, 250 hours, the bucket's gone.
Yeah, and it's
$100,000 for a 100-ton digger is $100,000.
100-ton digger, $100,000, and the big ones are even more.
Oh, you're talking $1.5 million for a 996 9800 type of bucket.
How do you protect your buckets? Because it's something that not many people would ever have to think about.
Oh, it's your wear packages and your techniques, how they're actually set up to dig, who's operating them, what material blasting. I worked for this large Chinese steel supplier for many years on these 6090s, and we would go for a set of teeth, or caps, because they're 3-piece teeth, a set in 6 to 12 hours at around 30K a set, 12 hours, gone. And you'd have full-time boilermakers that just travel the site, 6 or 7 big diggers, and that's all they did, just come around.
So just pull off the caps.
Yeah, replace them.
Replace them. Harden, did they put like hardening on them? Or
no, they're all, sourced.
With all of that shit.
Yeah, but this team of boilermakers, that's all they done, from machine to machine. We actually pulled around 40-foot skids, like a container, cut into a skid with all your GET, and wherever you went, the grader or the dozer dragged it around, and there goes your GET. So the boilermakers don't have to go too far.
How hard was the fucking ground?
Magnetite, so steel hardener, the hardest material known to mankind. So, and they used to blast it for the crushers. If you blasted it too small, it would choke the crushers. These crushers are putting out 5,000 tonne an hour, and there's 4 of them that we're feeding.
The blasted too small, like as in it would dust?
Yeah, too fine, it would choke the crushers. So they were actually targeting fragmentation at 1.1 metre, so 1 metre blocks. That's what they wanted. And
1 metre blocks? Yeah. That sounds like an absolute prick.
Oh, yeah, that's what you get out in these subdivisions. You got hammers and that working away trying to break it out of the ground. That's what we wanted. And so, yeah.
That sounds absolutely rubbish. That sounds like a hard time.
Oh, she was a hard time, all right. That company there in the northwest of Western Australia, the highest paid shovel and digger operators in the industry. They're on 250K.
Is that because it's shit?
It's shit, but they need to perform. These guys are putting out 80,000 tonne a shift consistently, every day, all day. And that's where said grader operator is now. So.
Is he?
Yeah, pretty proud of him.
Well, do you know what? Like I said, mate, few people have came close to him in his skill of operating, and I'm definitely sure he'll listen. Definitely sure he'll listen. But when you need to have the full package to not be the unicorn that causes dramas everywhere. He knows it anyway. Yeah. But
as you grow, 10 years under his belt.
It'd have to be.
Yeah. I think I was, I'm in my mid to late 40s, and I was a prick of a kid in my 20s. The dramas, I put my shift bosses and superintendents and managers through, but I moved at that.
Aha! There we go. So maybe someone else was a unicorn for a little bit, because I've seen some videos of you screaming at trucks, trucks on the backing in underneath you and being too far. Actually, I remember a really good one. We should see if we could find it, Louis. It's probably gone where they were backing in too slow and you were ready with the bucket.
At them.
Screaming because you've picked up the bucket and they're making you slow down.
If they're not there, they need to be there. Like, you're talking about spot times and efficiencies, but go back. Chucking a GoPro up in the cab. I think I was like one of the first to actually start documenting the mining side of like your Instagrams. And
you would have
Facebooks
been, definitely.
I'd chuck the GoPro up, or the old Samsung whatever we were, iPhone 1 or 2, and on the windscreen. And
about the same time as I started taking pictures of diggers.
Yeah. Back in the 2010s, 12s.
I actually remember, we will find this one, Louis. We were doing a thing. We started it. It was called Booms Up Friday.
Oh yeah,
right?
Great competition.
So we were doing Booms Up Friday, and you had to take a picture with your digger arm up in the air on a Friday, post it, and then we'd reshare it and tag it and everything. It's one of the ways that my Instagram started launching a bit. Me and another company were doing it in Melbourne. And then we're all posting up our 5-ton Kubota, an 8-ton Takeuchi, like is what I had. And I think I had a 135 Kobelco at that time.
You had your first cat, your 320.
Oh, I had my first cat, my 320E, and then this fucking asshole from WA sends across a 6015, the first one in the country, arm up like this.
In the darkness, great
in
photo,
the dark, and you're like, you fucking like.
But I used to share those photos to you first, so you would share them on your Instagram.
Yeah.
It brings me back to that. I think you've spoken to Whitty, Aaron Witt, about it. That 395 that just exploded.
The one that I posted before when it was undercover.
Yeah. I remember.
I got a cease and desist about sharing it. So just to tell everyone, the 395 was going to be launched at a Con Expo.
Mm-hmm. 2019, I think.
Yeah, I think something like that. And then no one had seen it yet. It was under wraps, but you were part of a mining group.
Some foreign mining group.
Some foreign mining group got sent the photos, or got put the photos online because they pulled off the covers to unload it from the
truck to a train,
from the truck to the train.
Yeah. That's what they were doing.
And when they pulled off the covers to unload it, someone snapped a couple of photos, put it on this group that you were part of. You sent it to me, and then I put it all over the internet and tagged everyone and said, look, here's the new 395. The cat dealership sent me a cease and desist. Please take it off of the internet. And I rung up my cat dealer here, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Great advertising, mate. If they Caterpillar America knew you before Williams and Adams Cat knew you.
Yeah. William Adams Cat will barely even listen to me, but they're sending me love letters from Nevada or something saying, take down the photo. And I'm like, I ain't got no contract with you. There's no intellectual property here. And anyway, isn't this what you want?
Yeah.
Don't you want everyone talking about it on the internet because the I don't know the
hype,
what's the word? The hype, the fanfare, the whatever, and you're going to sit down and crack the shits because it's not when you want it. That makes it even better. I should have put up a picture of the letter they sent me. Please take down the picture, please.
But help the link the Instagram grow and
yeah.
And I'd love like that photo up there on your wall there. That was a great photo.
Yeah, remember that one when it popped up. So that this photo here we'll put up this one. This one is actually. It's not really photoshopped. The guy went out there in the middle of the night. The Aurora Borealis, Australis.
Yeah, Australis. Yeah, we actually flew through the night when seen it out the window last night.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, he took that picture of my digger. It was up in
Bendigo or something, Ballarat.
No, it was further. It was in New South Wales somewhere, I think, working on a pipeline project. And then, do you know the guy? So just to tell you what happened. So the guy rang me, and he's like, I take these photos. Right, and you know, can you help me get out on site because it's well out? It's like 20 k's down a dirt track. Can you help me get out there? Big pipeline upgrade, and so I can take a photo in the middle of the night. So I did all of this organising and stuff. He took the photo. He took some other ones, and then he sent me a thing, and he says, "Here's the proof of it. I want 5K for the photo."
Oh yeah, after all that help, yeah.
5K for a photo. What? Like I'm in the wrong industry. Like the digger's only getting $1,500 a day back then, and you want 5K to take a photo for 2 hours? Is that no? And then I hadn't done anything with it apart from share it on my Instagram, but I shared it with all of his stuff. And then one of my mates for my birthday actually got me this photo and printed it out for me and everything. And then the guy's like, "You're a dog, you stole the photo," and everything else like that.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Mate, you should have had Louis on the job back then, mate.
Can you imagine? 5K for a photo, Louis. Like we're in the wrong game. I'm sitting here selling my ass for a podcast that I get $7 an episode paid to me from YouTube. I think I got $12 last week.
I was watching your followers last night. I was watching episode, and you could just watch the views going up. It's
Yeah.
quite a great thing, you know.
Yeah, some of them are getting a fair bit now. We get 20, 30,000 views a week, all
Really-
up, I think. now.
Really enjoyed that Jerry Noonan.
Jerry Noonan.
What a man, what a
know-
pillar of the industry, man.
So, he sat here and we were talking about it after, and he's like, we were sitting down and had to do this job, and we used to crane in the anchor rig, which was not mounted on anything, and suspend it from a crane. Boys would run and drive it on a scaffold, and that's just how everyone did it.
Yeah.
Well, I had the 20 tonne in the yard, and I had a boilermaker not doing anything, so I said, can you just join that onto the end of the digger and we'll just get it working because, it takes too long. So then he took it to a job and made $1 million in a week in 1970 or something.
Yeah.
Because he goes, it was meant to take 4 months. He goes, each hole used to have to be suspended. You have to set up the bracing, dynabolt it onto the...
Is this doing the tying the pillars into the...
Yeah, the tiebacks.
Yeah.
And he said, you used to have to get the anchor rig and then you'd have to... tie it onto the wall with guys there drilling holes, dowel holes into the thing. Then you have to tighten it up, and then you'd have to, load all of the rods and everything into the back. And he goes, it used to take a day to drill one. He goes, then I've mounted it on a 20 tonne, and they drilled it in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I said, what? And he's like, it was 10 minutes. He goes, somewhere even 5 minutes. So we went along, we punched the holes like this. He goes, we did a 3-month job in like a week.
Yeah.
And we had one excavator there instead of 20 blokes and a crane and the scaffolding. And he's like, it changed the industry. He sold it to Atlas Copco or something, or he gave it to Atlas Copco to make him one.
Yeah.
And now Atlas Copco's anchor rigs...
off his design,
all his
just reading his book and watching that interview, and what a man! Just what he brought to the industry. He dug just about every hole in the city. As you said, there's that map of what he's done, and just
and that was in the 90s or something. He wrote that book, or early 2000s. They're still digging them now.
Yeah.
Like there'd be more on it now.
and to think in 30, 40 years to achieve, like we're in our 80s or whatever, to achieve what he's done, and still be that sharp, and he was all over you.
So we sat down, and he sat back, he put the microphone in front of him, and then he spoke at me like my grandpa. And he spoke at me like my grandpa for an hour and a half, and it was the best time I've had sitting here, I reckon.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have to do anything. He just sat down and he said, right, I've got story, and I want to try and get him back.
Oh, yeah.
Because
episode 50, bring him back.
You reckon episode 50? Oh, that's not a bad idea. Oh, we might be on here, do an episode 50 special, whoever has got the most views.
Well, Jerry Noonan, you got to get on, watch that episode. That was just remarkable. Just sit down there and listen to that, man. And you've had some great guests, I appreciate the invite to come and sit here and talk to you, especially with guys like that on here. So
Yeah,
I'm just a humble little digger operator from the
humble
West.
little digger operator who only has some world records in production stuff. So tell everyone a little bit about your old boy, and where you grew up a little bit, and then I want to talk to you a bit about the changes that you've seen and if they're positive or negative in the mining industry from when you started. But tell us a bit about your old boy, what he did, how he did it, because I know you're real proud of him too.
Yeah, I am. I'm very proud of my history and the family tradition. I'm, like yourself, a third generation earth mover. Grandfather out of World War II, they were building airports and that through the Pacific Islands, and they come back home, and earth moving was the way forward. The mechanicalised world, tractors, scoops. So my grandfather, he worked through the 40s, 50s, 60s, big scraper fleets. And then my father, he was pretty much there from the turn of the Traxcavator to the excavator in the 70s,
70s with Cats, what model was it?
International, Massey Ferguson, they all had them, and then
Did you have any RB30s or anything like that?
The old drag lines.
The old drag lines, or not really?
No, it was pretty much scrapers, and then no, there was NGK cranes and wrecking balls, because we'd done a bit of demolition around Wellington. I'm from New Zealand, Wellington. So pretty much the turn of the industry from Traxcavators and wrecking balls to hydraulic excavators. I'm a Hitachi through and through. We had like Hitachis back in the early 70s. So the old man was he wasn't a business owner, he was an owner-operator for around 20, 30 years. Retired on a bulldozer, late 90s. We grew up in it. My uncles are operators, business owners, contractors, earth movers. Every part of my family's in the industry, so it was natural for me to become to work in this industry. Quite a funny thing. My first birthday cake was a Hitachi digger. First birthday cake. When I turned 21, they gave me the same birthday cake, identical Hitachi digger. So, bit of an old fairy tale, like a happy ending story there. But pretty proud of it. Come over to Australia when I was 18 years old after the old boy passed away. Family in Australia, straight to Kalgoorlie, the heart of mining or earth moving. Was here 3 days. I'd come off, this is another funny story, come off a 40-tonner in New Zealand, big digger in the 90s. It's like a massive machine in the city. Sitting in the pub, all the 17, 18 years old, bloke sits down next to me, asked me what I'd done, told him I was a digger operator, and he fell off his seat laughing. He was a mining manager. He goes, I'll give you a job. Give me his card. Went down, inductions, drug test, out onto site, straight onto a PC 1600, big digger. Never been in the mine site. So just worked my way up through the industry.
How did that go?
I made a hell of a mess, There was no real training back then in the 90s. It was either you could do it or you couldn't. Dropped me off at this machine, asked me if I could drive it. Being a young fellow, I said I could.
I could drive that and another one.
Give you another one. So climbed the ladder, worked out how to start this big twin engine machine, and the trucks just started running at me. So by lunchtime he came back down, I'd made a hell of a mess. I'd come out of demolition and civil. Trucks are all lopsided, loaded on the bum and half loaded, trying to get them moving, and gave me a bit of a hard word. He said, if you're no good in 3 days, you can go. So at the end of the day there was this old Swedish fellow, he's quite well known in the industry. He pulls me aside. He was on the same digger across the paddock from me. Just said, just watch me, boy, just how I'm doing it. Clean floor, nice loads. The rest is history.
Well, once someone gives you a little bit of a steer, and no matter what you're doing, and I go around and try to give people a little bit of a steer now, one of the big things that I do is with truck drivers trying to reverse their trucks or whatever else. I know I'm no expert, but little movements on the wheel can create big movements on the trailer. Pull as far forward as you can. If you can pull far forward to reverse it, to get a really nice arc on that trailer to back it in from somewhere, you should do it. Mm-hmm. Don't try and pull up and go like this and then cross it. And then the wheel should never be on full lock, because now you're hurting the trailer on the way around.
With the dog locks on.
Everyone with a dog lock everyone with a dog lock. But just a little steer can be super helpful. And it sounds like that Swedish fella coming over and just saying, listen. He
was great, this guy. He's still in the industry now, pretty well known. So I stuck with them for a few years, and they pretty much reverse trained me, because I couldn't operate a dozer, I couldn't operate a grader. Well, I thought I could. So they reverse trained me from the digger straight onto a D11, pushing dirt, ripping, pushing, 16 graders, showed me how to do batters.
I'm no good in a grader.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
No, the dirt underneath me moving. I want the dirt in front of me. I'm happy with I am happy with a bulldozer. Even though you can't see the dirt moving, I know how it is.
Yeah, you can feel the resistance.
Yeah, but underneath me, something is not right. I constantly want to get it out from under me, and it's just something in my brain that doesn't work. And but also at the same time, when I got to the point of needing a grader, I was probably out of being able to be in the machines long enough. So every time I was only in it for 20 minutes, and by the end of the 20 minutes, the operator's back and fuck this.
Yeah, he's made a mess. Get out.
That's me. But at least in a digger, they come back and they go, oh yeah, there's no trucks waiting. It's a pretty. So I never got into the grader.
Yeah, I kind of had the, I'm like been in senior leadership roles for a while now, but I spent that time in the machines and it was always the plan to do that. I didn't want to. I was, I went and got my qualifications as a mine manager quite early. I was in my 20s when I went and done that. But I didn't want to step into that role because it's kind of like the highest role you can get in mining, unless you're a GM or an owner or something on the board. Because I didn't have the experience. So I got the first bit of the quals, went out and ticked them off, the big operations, the iron ore, the coal, the magnetite, all the shitty little gold sites. So I got that experience and I got to a point where, I'm ready to go. And this is only not long after I returned back from Melbourne, so 8 years ago. Come back into the West Australian mining industry, rightio, I'm going for a supervisor role. Got that. And that was a crew of 900. So split across 3 crews, 900 people, 300 people a crew. I was only a supervisor, so I had a crew of 300.
Okay, so that's how it works there. Because I did want to talk about this as well. How do you go from a guy who's really good at swinging a digger to a guy who's really good at running a site?
People.
Yeah, because it ends up being they're moving the dirt's only a percentage of it.
Yeah.
It might be a high percentage and it's a very important percentage, but at the end of the day, there's so much more to take care of now. And I see you more in a Hilux with a laptop than I do seeing you swinging.
Now, I still like to get into the machines, but I think because I spent enough time on the tools and across many different organisations, like I've worked for all the tier 1s, tier 2s and tier 3s, every bit of mining I've been in. And I kind of like worked out, took the best of what I wanted to be from managers. I'd look at them and if I could learn something off them, I would shadow them. Even if I was on a machine, I was listening to them. I was in pre-starts. I'd go to work early, get into the meetings and big planning meetings, and I'd get invited. And I had a couple of good bosses mining managers that identified I wanted to learn. And then I kind of also identified what I didn't want to be as a leader. And because I've been on many jobs where we've had a manager or a supervisor that's a micromanager, lacks people skills, doesn't know how to move the dirt, many things. So I worked out what I didn't want to be. So I stepped into a senior role. I was a supervisor, 300 men. Got a promotion, superintendent, 900 men, and that's across trucks, diggers, dozers, drills, geotechnical engineering, geology, many things, day crew, dewatering. So yes, kind of sat there for a bit, and for a big tier 1, but you kind of are protected by many layers of leadership there. You could be a manager or superintendent with all your leaders below you, and they're doing most of the work for you, and you actually don't get enough exposure. So stepped away from the big tier 1s and then into more of your family-based smaller mining operations, where I got a whole lot more exposure to finances, budgeting, planning, maintenance.
Everything. Running a mine.
Running it, yeah. You get into those big tier 1s, you might be top dog, but you haven't got your finger on the pulse. You hardly know what's going on. There's people feeding you information. You'd have it today. You've got multiple layers of people below you, and you're only getting a snippet of what's going on.
And it's so hard because how do you get back into it without cutting off their legs? Bit like a good when you make it to a superintendent, a good supervisor wants to run his shift.
Yeah, leave him alone.
And you got to leave him alone a little bit, but also at the same time, he's got to know that you're there. But then also, I like digging holes and trucking dirt.
I want to know what's going on.
I'm happy, or like I've got a bit to say about it. If you show me a photo of a hole, I'll tell you if it's a good one or a bad one. And so it's a real challenge, that I often wrestle with myself a little bit because, do you go past that job? Do you actually go look at the job? Because as soon as I'm on a job, everyone looks at me and goes, am I doing all right?
What's going on here? Yeah. Boss is on site. Like today, I can sit here and quite relaxed knowing that there's multiple large operations on the other side of the country working away. And I have 100% faith in those supervisors and guys out there, maintenance guys, that they're doing their jobs. And not to, as you said, micromanage them, let them do their things, let them make their calls. And these, calls could be, make one wrong call, that's $100,000,
Yeah, definitely.
But you got to let these guys grow and develop and just mentor them where they need it. I like training and mentorship. I've got we brought it up before, an in-depth training program where we are. We bring in a lot of young guys and young females. Got quite a big female workforce. Diggers, dozers, graders, scoops, you name it, they're out there doing it. Got some superstars on the diggers. I've got a couple of young girls on some 100-ton diggers that can throw dirt like the best of the men. But yeah, got a good training program. We bring them in at 18, 19 years old. Get them going on the trucks. In 6 months' time, we'll assess how they're going. Do you want to get on a water cart, grader, dozer?
But isn't it funny? Because, I sit here and I hear, I'm hungry. I want to learn. I want to do this. I want to go, better myself and be, part of the meetings, part of the pre-starts, shadow these blokes. Now, I can guarantee you that you never walked over to them and you said, I want $5 an hour.
No, I didn't ask for the money. No way.
You know that everyone who sits in front of me doesn't ask for the money.
It's the experience, it's the knowledge.
Everyone who sits there ends up saying the same thing, which is, I did this, I was starving, I was hungry, I wanted to learn, I wanted to take on more responsibility. And you go, did you ask for any money? And they go, no, I was just interested in, being more part of it, or I was just interested in winning the job, or I was just interested in, helping them out, or whatever it might be. But it's so, I'm not saying that the money's not, it's like the moving the dirt when I said it's a percentage of it, but it's only a percentage. It's not the whole thing. People get so concerned about what money they have now that they're not willing to invest anything
in their own time and their own development to be better.
Yeah, to be better, to get the money after. It's like we need the
rewards now.
Right now, there's no delayed. What's the word? Gratification. No delayed gratification to say, right, I'm going to take a little bit of time to learn this. I was saying something the other day. One of the first blokes I worked for was working on beaches.
Yeah, I remember watching you doing that.
Yeah, and I worked on beaches for a long time, probably 5-6 years. I was out there. And I bought a diesel cell, and I used to fill up diesel on my own time and go fuel up his machines. And then I'd just invoice him for it. Later on, just the cost of the diesel with a receipt, nothing about my cell, nothing about taking it home, nothing about...
Keeping the job going for the man, yeah.
And I think now, I'm constantly saying to people, I'll pay for you to go get diesel. And so many people say, yeah, I'll get it. I'll take it, which is okay too, because if you want to be paid to go get the diesel, absolutely fine. I'm all good with it. But there's very... guys who go to hardware shops and buy $5 worth of bolts and then come back and be
with a receipt.
With a receipt and say,
reimbursed,
and then I went to the hardware shop and they don't talk about the fact that they bought wire for their whippersnipper at home when they were there or anything else.
Or the half hour they sat in a coffee shop while they went there.
And then they hit you up for an hour to go buy $5 worth. Anyway, it's just interesting that the success comes from money still being important, but money not being the main driving factor.
Yeah. I've seen it many times, 1,000 times, where training guys up, come off a grader onto a dozer. I want that dozer rate now. It could be a $5 increase, $10 increase. I want it now. No, you'll get it in 12 months. I just spent 30 grand training you, and now you're going to cost me production-wise for the next year because you don't know that machine. So
You don't know that when you think you're pushing like fuck.
Yeah.
Chances are you're just doing a passable job. Like you in that 1600, enough to keep going, but not enough to last more than 3 days if you don't pick up your pants.
Yeah. So, and that's, I think you talk a bit about the younger generation, the wants and want it now, the iPads, the no hard work.
Do you see a difference in when you started to now with that sort of?
I've getting the opportunity, 20, 30 years ago to come off the street and get on a 657 scraper. You were just happy to have the job. I'm on a 50-ton scraper. I'm on $13 an hour. Driving that 1600, I was on $13 an hour, and I was kicking. I was rolling. 100 hours, 90 hours a week. We're working 6 weeks on, 1 week off, and then go back in 6 weeks of nights, 1 week off.
As 6 weeks on, well, imagine they put that out there now. Now, mind you, in that part is probably better. Like these different swings are easier on family lives. These swings are, more built around like a bigger balance.
Yeah, family life balance.
Yeah, which is probably makes for more happy individuals. However, like you can look at it from the other side that says we've softened it right up and we keep softening it up on the way through, and then we overpay for, less production. And now you have guys sitting on $10 million diggers that are only filling in for smokos and all other stuff when there was none of that.
There's guys that, I know of a Tier 1 mining client, they fly their guys on Monday, these big shovel and digger operators, and fly them out Friday morning for a 4-day roster. All they do is smokos and lunches. Start a shift, lunch, end the shift. Same as truck drivers. You could have 20, 30 truck drivers sitting there, and they're just there to fill the gaps throughout the day. But going back to where the rosters, 30 years ago there was no depression, there was no suicide on camps, there was none of those things 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago. A lot of companies have made it too soft, too easy to get into the industry. The lifestyle rosters, your 2-and-1s, your 8-and-6s, your 4-and-4s. But you need to do that to attract the people, but it's really softened the industry.
Wayne, what do you think about that? Because you're going in for training, mentorship, you're going through for all of these things. And to do that, you need to be able to get to the workforce, and you need to be able to look after them. And it's definitely different, and it's not all negatives. It's not, but it's not all positives either. But we're not allowed to talk about the positives, because if we talk about them, then everyone's like, you're a prick.
You're biased.
You want to do 8-and-1 again? Or 6-and-1? You go, no, that's not what it's about. But somewhere in between 6-and-1 and 4-and-4.
There's got to be a happy balance. Like where I am, very well contracted, we've got a great work-life balance for our team. They work a 9-and-5 roster, which we find is a great.
So is that 5 including mob and demob, or is the 9 including mob and demob?
9 includes travel. These guys could be travelling for 6 hours a day. So that's all
in the 9.
In the 9, yeah. So and I find that's a real good one. But you got to give the guys balance of it now. So, but we coming from old school values, you've got them too. As you were saying, 7 o'clock you start loading.
Yeah, we were talking about that before.
Last load is 6 o'clock. Or 5:45. That's enough time to get back, park your truck up, do this.
So I used to be able to drill it, like I used to have a killer crew of guys that were going around digging. It's a little bit different these days because we've added in some multiple layers of management, and multiple layers of management slows it down but standardises it on the same time. It used to be 7:01, that bucket is dropping a load into a truck. Truck can start reversing in at 7.
Yep. Be ready to go.
We are ready to rock and roll, win the morning, win the day, on site, machine looked at, pre-started, everyone's ready to rock and roll. And to be honest, everyone loved it. They were part of a crew of guys moving a lot of dirt in Melbourne. Like
making an impact.
Yeah, you know, a young crew of blokes throwing dirt. It's a little bit more challenging now, probably because, you know, you have to take into account some other things. You know, all of a sudden 7 bleeds into 7:05, that bleeds into a job that won't do pre-start until 7, and now all of a sudden it's 7:15.
Yeah.
Pain in the arse.
Yeah.
Pain in the arse, because it does drag you down just a little bit.
Even those last loads at the end of the day in your game, you know, push. And that's going back to the ethics and the rosters and hard work.
I've got a story for you that, like, I'll tell you what happened. I got a phone call. I got some real great truck drivers too, some absolute fucking guns that put in, no matter what's happening. Last load of the year last year, a guy pulls back onto site because it got caught in traffic. They thought he wasn't coming back. He came back, they'd locked up the machines and they wouldn't load him.
Oh.
And they didn't load him.
Well.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, it's one load, it doesn't really matter. But also at the same time, that's that thing, that's what.
Unlock the gate, give the man a load. He's just spent his time coming back.
And it's my truck too, so he drove through the traffic.
You're paying him anyway. So.
I'm paying him, and then he can get a last load and bring it home. You know, because then we got one truck loaded out and one truckload more than what we would have had. And then we sit there and, like, I go through it and I try and tell the management on the way down, and then the ops and then everything. If you have an empty truck on site, you put a load in him. And if you're not, that's fine, but that job better be finished. No more loads coming out of it. Because we were making sure sending a truck back. Now, I've got my 5-minute warning for you, but I wanted to talk to you at the last little bit about something, because I have spoken to you a long time. You got like 35 kids or something.
Yeah. 10 kids, very proud of them.
10 kids.
Yeah, my wife is, she should be a CEO. She could run the country, this woman. So, you know, 30 years in the industry, a lot of it FIFO. I wasn't home, so she kind of...
Well, you're definitely home for a little bit because they're 10 kids. So what's their ages?
So the older ones are getting into their late 30s. So, so 11, 12, 15, 18, 19, 24, 20, twins that are 25, 26, and around 27, 28. So,
Get the fuck.
Yeah. I can't remember birthdays. So, I'm pretty proud of my kids. You know, I was a loving father, but I was an absent father, away working most of the time, trying to give them what I never had. Put them through all the best of the private schools and education, and wanting them to go out and become doctors and lawyers and all those types of things, and barristers. And so now all of them in the mining industry. Whoever's old enough to work. My oldest daughter, she works for the government. My oldest boy, he's a production loader operator. Gun, just a killer.
You don't say. Who'd have thought? Fourth gen.
Yeah. So there's a 5th generation. I've got grandkids too. I've got around 8 grandkids now, so in my mid-40s. But so my... 8
grandkids in your mid-40s and 10 kids.
Yeah.
You're a psychopath, or you're on the phone, you're like, 4 and 4 swing, no good for me. 5 weeks on, 3 minutes off.
So I'll have a great retirement, I reckon, with my kids and my grandkids. But I got another son that I've gone into business with. He's a bit of a scholar. His background is processing, so he's a metallurgist, lab tech type of thing, running big processing plants. Works with some tier 1s. So he's come on board. We've started a business together. Then I've got a daughter who's a grader operator. She's pretty killer at that too, up north.
So the Matengas are taken over? Just a little bit?
Yeah, we're spread out. A few of them, they're working for different companies, but all their owners know me quite well.
Coming back, you can feel it in the bones, can't you, Louis? You can feel it, that they're just out there getting a little bit of the experience, trailing a supervisor early for the pre-starts, and then all of a sudden there's going to be a Matenga operator,
deployed within MESA to a new job.
Well, Marty, I really appreciate you coming.
Oh, it's been great,
awkward
mate.
over that thing. So which one are you doing, up or down?
Up, mate, up.
Thank you for flying over.
I really appreciate it, mate. It's
me too. And we'll keep talking over the years. As always, like, subscribe, comment, share. I'm sure we'll get a few shares now that we got the big fella on himself. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Done.